They still whisper about La Bruja de Santa Cruz when the sun goes down. Not with affection, not with pity, but with that ancient fear that crawls into your bones at night. In 1969, a young girl was betrayed, humiliated, and left alone with a dying newborn in her arms. Weeks later, the most powerful man in town began to scream in his sleep. Years later, the man who ruined her life would beg at her door, dying and broken. This is the true legend of La Bruja de Santa Cruz, and before this story ends, you will have to decide for yourself. Was she a witch, a victim, or something far more powerful? If stories like La Bruja de Santa Cruz fascinate you, take a second right now to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you imagine, and it allows me to keep bringing you powerful stories like this one. In the hills surrounding Santa Cruz de las Flores, people still remember Casilda Morales. She was born in 1952 in a dusty ranch called El Saucito. Her family was poor but proud. Her father worked the fields from sunrise to sunset. Her mother raised 7 children in a small adobe house with a dirt floor. They had little, but they had dignity. By the time Casilda turned 16 in 1968, she had become the most beautiful girl in the area. Long black hair, honey-colored eyes, a quiet strength in her posture. She worked hard, spoke little, and dreamed in silence. If you've ever lived in a small town, you know how fast beauty becomes attention. Tell me in the comments, do you think beauty is a blessing or a curse in places where everyone watches everyone? That year, the wealthy landowner's son returned from the city, educated, arrogant, used to getting what he wanted. When he saw Casilda during the town festival, something sparked inside him. Not love, but desire, possession. He began following her, sending small gifts, whispering promises about marriage and defying social classes. For 6 months, she believed him. They met beneath an old mesquite tree outside town. He spoke of a future. She believed every word. Then in March of 1969, Casilda became sick, morning nausea, dizziness. Her mother knew immediately. Casilda was pregnant. Her father confronted the young man, but he laughed in his face. Casilda's innocence and trust had been crushed. Imagine being that father. Imagine being that girl. What would you have done in that moment? Would you have fought harder, or would you have broken? Tell me in the comments. And if your heart is already heavy, stay with me, because La Bruja de Santa Cruz was born from this exact moment.
Rumors spread quickly. The rich family protected their name. Casilda was labeled immoral, disgraced. Even the church turned cold. When her baby girl was born in August 1969, no midwife wanted to help. The child survived only 2 days. At the burial, only her parents stood beside her. No priest, no prayers. Casilda did not cry. Instead, she whispered, "You will all regret this." After the funeral, she locked herself in her room. 2 weeks passed. Then one night, she walked barefoot to the hill where her daughter was buried. Some say the dogs howled. Some say strange lights flickered above the cemetery. The next morning, she returned, different. Her sadness had hardened into something else. Soon after, strange things began to happen. A shopkeeper who publicly insulted her developed painful sores across her body. Doctors found no cause. Desperate, the woman begged Casilda for forgiveness. Casilda simply said, "Life collects what we sow." The sores vanished days later. The wealthy patriarch who had defended his son began suffering terrifying nightmares of a woman in white at the foot of his bed. He deteriorated rapidly. He died before Christmas of that same year. Coincidence, or the rise of La Bruja de Santa Cruz? If this story is gripping you, like the video and subscribe now. You'll want to see what happens next. The young man who betrayed her married into wealth, but his life unraveled. No children, failed businesses, alcohol. By 1987, he had lost everything. Meanwhile, Casilda transformed. People started seeking her out for illnesses doctors couldn't cure, for broken marriages, for protection against envy. Some called her a witch, others called her a healer. But one rule never changed: she never harmed the innocent. In 1976, a drunk young man mocked her publicly, shouting that he feared no witch. 3 days later, he woke up blind. Doctors found nothing wrong. His mother took him to Casilda, trembling. After he sincerely apologized, she wiped his eyes with a red cloth and told him to open them. His sight returned. From that day forward, no one mocked La Bruja de Santa Cruz again. What would you do if someone publicly humiliated you and you had the power to make them pay? Comment your answer below. Years passed. She helped sick children without charging a single coin. She accepted payment from the wealthy, but often refused money from the poor. Justice, not cruelty, guided her. Then, in 1982, the man who had destroyed her life appeared at her door, dying of liver failure. He begged for relief, begged for mercy. She looked at him and said, "You chose your path. Walk it to the end." She closed the door. He died months later.
That night, Casilda cried for the first time in 14 years. Not for him, not even for the past. She cried for herself, for the girl she used to be. Have you ever held on to anger so long that it became part of you? Did it make you stronger or just lonelier? Tell me honestly in the comments. The next morning, she forgave him at his grave, not because he deserved it, but because she was tired of carrying the weight. From that day forward, La Bruja de Santa Cruz softened. She still healed, still advised, but she smiled more, laughed sometimes. Years later, she married a quiet widower who offered her something no spell ever could: peace. They lived simply, respectfully. When he died in old age, she held his hand. By 2026, Casilda is 73 years old. She no longer practices brujeria. Her garden is full of herbs. People visit her for advice, not vengeance. When asked what her greatest lesson was, she once said, "Power born from anger is strong, but it eats you alive. The hardest thing I ever did was forgive." So now I ask you, what did this story awaken inside you? Did it remind you of someone? Of something you still haven't forgiven? Write it in the comments. If La Bruja de Santa Cruz moved you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Tell me what part impacted you the most and what you learned, because sometimes the most powerful magic isn't revenge. It's letting go.